I've got a couple tutorials already posted, just like follow along making beanie patterns with me. So I wanted to make a video specifically showing how I do my color changes. I do briefly talk about it in all of my other videos, but I don't really go into detail, so that's what this video is here for. So with this current pattern that I'm working on, I need to work pins 1 through 28 in this cream color and 29 to 24 in 29 to 34 in brown. So where am I at? I'm on 25, 26, 27, 28. I'm gonna make sure this 28th pin has that yarn. I stop it about in this position. I have my new change of color. I stick it in there and I tie it not in the middle, but more closer to the last pin that you're stopping on, so pin 28. Pin 28 will be the last pin with that cream color. I tie the new color on like that. I cut the old color, and then I tie the new and the old color together. And then I feed the new color through the yarn feeder. And then just make sure all of the tails and the knots stay on the top of the project, on this upside of the project. You don't want it to go underneath. I need to do pin 29 to 34 in brown. And there's just a lot to pay attention to because these knots are gonna make this tension try to act funky, so you just have to make sure that these loops here are getting pulled down just like they're supposed to. We don't want to skip any of these. Make sure this is getting fed under. And from the previous color change, this knot here is going to make it difficult for this yarn to come down. At this point, this yarn should already be getting pushed down. So around these knots, you're gonna have to help it. And I just kind of pull on the tail, make sure the knot stays on the up side of the project. It should be towards the top of your machine, not the bottom. And another thing that you need to watch for is the yarn at this point here. When you're adding your new color, you need to make sure that this yarn goes underneath this. Gonna kind of want to pull and make sure that that tension stays good. So I pop that yarn under there. I pull it here. See, watch this yarn here. I pull it and it gets a little bit tighter there. And that way the tension will be good. You won't have much to fix at the end, if anything at all. Okay, and so now I need to add my new color. I tie the new color on close to the last pin of the last color. Cut the old color, tie the old and new color together, put it through the yarn feeder, and proceed. Just showing again this tension problem to look out for, especially around the color changes where the knots are. This yarn here is really loose and it should be tight already at this point. So what we need to do before I change my color next is to just pull next to it and make sure it's as even as you can possibly get. You're just gonna have to eyeball it and make sure it just is as even with the rest of the yarn as possible. And these knots and things will get in the way of letting the yarn smoothly slide underneath. So just around all these knots, you're gonna have to help it out. And now I wanted to show you single pin color changes. They're done the same exact way, but they're really annoying to me because they just feel really slow and feel unproductive but it's just the same method. I tie the new color, cut the old color, tie the new and old together, and it's just one pin. Same process, make sure that yarn gets under there, make sure the knots are on the up side, make sure the tails are going towards the middle. Oops. Tie in the new color. And even though it's just one pin, I still make sure to put it through the tensioner every time. Because the goal is to make the tension as even as possible. Making sure this tension here gets all lined up like it should be. And so now you've got these two different color pins here. Just as easy, it just feels a little more tedious since you have to change it much more often. And again, I just really wanted to emphasize on where the biggest problems happen, which would be when the pins are in this position around these knots here. That's where drop stitches like will happen as soon as you stop paying attention. You'll feel the machine get really tight sometimes because it is struggling to get that down. That will be a drop stitch if I force it, but I have to help it go down and make sure it gets around the two teeth at the bottom, or else that is a drop stitch and those are not fun. So now what I'm gonna do is continue making this beanie. I'm just gonna put it on time lapse, and if I come across any issues, then I am gonna stop and explain the issues and how I deal with it. If I don't come across any issues, then just enjoy the time lapse of me making this beanie, and I'll see you at the end. I hope this video helped you. I hope you learned something. If you have any more questions or any other questions, please just let me know. I would love to help. I'm obsessed with this stuff. I want everyone to know how to do it. I want everyone to enjoy doing it. The possibilities are seriously endless. I have lots of patterns available on my Etsy, and I would love to see your creations on Instagram.